Today's business terrain is complex, but managing your business risks doesn't have to be. Cover Buddies is Malaysia's preferred insurance provider. Get that peace of mind knowing that our consultants can help you source and manage your insurance portfolio. For more information, visit our website at www.coverbuddies.com.
Welcome to the official Cover Buddies podcast. And in today's program, I shall be talking about the top 10 mistakes that small businesses make. And when I talk about these top 10 mistakes, it's mostly mistakes that I have made while trying to build a business. And hopefully, some of these things maybe you can relate to, or you've also made that. But, I thought I'll just share it so that we are more aware of it and we can actually learn from one another. So starting from number 10. Do a countdown from, the top to bottom, and then we'll, narrow down all the way to number 1. But mistake number 10 I made was writing off all my leads. What does that mean? That basically means one of the mistakes I made over time was when leads came in, and then of course we will do a pre-qualification, and then we realize, nah, and then we write them off completely, which I think now looking back in hindsight, it's a huge mistake because it does not mean that, let's say a customer or a prospect's not buying today, they may not do it somewhere along the way. And through experience, we've had customers or sort of like prospects that came back to us a few years later, or a few months later. So it is really, really important now I look back, anyone that goes through that funnel to be put into at least like a mailing list or in some sort of marketing program to sort of keep them in the game. Right? You never just write them off completely. I think it's very nearsighted or, to be able to just say, okay, this one qualifies, we'll treat this one better. Or this one doesn't qualify, forget about that person. So this is just something that we learn along the way. Okay, number 9 is responding too slowly. And honestly, this one is a very painful experience because it's happened a couple of times when, I'm trying to build a business, and sometimes people come in through our live chat or emails and we took too long to respond to them. It's a mistake to think that, they will wait for us because now business is so competitive. Nobody waits for you. So I think what we do now is that we have like a process where if an inquiry comes in, we will try to respond to them within a few minutes. Of course, within reasonable time, not like, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. No one's going to really respond to you then. Although I've actually responded to some messages that came in at midnight because, I was awake and that person was looking through our website and they needed to make a couple of inquiries and I just so happened to be around. My point is that you do not wait for like 3 days or even 2 days or 24 hours to respond to an inquiry, because in most instances, people that come through your website or through an ad, they are at the different part of the funnel where they are already looking, they already have intent. So this is really important. Number 8 is not doing enough marketing. And I just want to make some clear distinctions here, right? Because the role for marketing, our understanding is always to create or to build leads or to build pipeline. And it is so, so important to always have that pipeline that is ready and that is healthy, that there are people going through that funnel. The moment you realize that you don't have enough pipeline is when you're in trouble. I've experienced this mistake many times, and I've seen this mistake being brought up and people talk about it, right? The biggest challenge is always getting leads. And especially like for small businesses like us, leads are so precious. It's not like we get hundreds a day, right? I mean, every lead that comes in is so precious. You need to be able to do enough marketing way ahead. Okay, when I talk about way ahead, I don't mean like a month or 2 or 6 months. I'm talking about 12 months. 12, 24, 36, sometimes even 48 months ahead, you should be testing different approaches. You should be trying different things. In other words, rule of thumb, you really should be doing all this before you need it. Because the moment when you realize you don't have enough pipe in your pipeline and you're trying different things and you're hoping that it works straight away, you're in trouble. I find a lot of people make that mistake and they struggle there. You really should be doing it way ahead, so that you kind of know what the return of investment is like, what are the results like, and then maybe 6-9 months down the way and you want to introduce certain things to grow, then fine, you work from there. But the moment if you say you don't have enough pipeline and you try to introduce something you've never tried, or you try to do more marketing and you hope that you're going to get the next 1 month or two, I think you're in trouble. The next mistake I've made is not being generous enough. And when I talk about not being generous enough, I don't mean like, throwing money left and right all over town. What I really mean is that to be, to have more like an abundant sort of a mindset where if someone comes in for assistance or for help or for basically for advice and so forth, to be able to help them and not expect something in return straight away. I'm guilty of that, where sometimes we hold back. And over time, we have to teach ourselves to say, look, be generous. If anyone requires help, help them out. Show the service that you can provide. It doesn't mean that they have to convert straight away. They may take time or whatever, or they could even better. They could actually introduce you to someone else. That's actually worth a lot more. And I see small businesses making that mistake. Actually, I see all types of businesses making that mistake. And this is something that we need to be very, very aware of. The next mistake that I see is not keeping an eye on your accounts. And for years, I've seen companies struggle where they have good products, they have good services, but because they did not pay enough attention to their finances, right? You'd be surprised. A lot of small business operators are not very savvy or literate when it comes to finance. Reading your balance sheet, your profit and loss, and basically your cash flow statements and so forth, which I think is extremely, extremely important. I just want to stress this enough because I've made this mistake where, certain products that we sold over time and services, there was a profit, but we were not growing. And I really could not figure out why the hell we were not growing, right? And it only took some time where I picked up my financial literacy and basically learned how to look at accounts, how to manage finances. And honestly, there are a lot of programs out there. There's a lot of sources out there where you can actually pick that up. And just from that, you can actually learn how you can grow, how much money you have left, how much you should be spending on marketing, how much you should be spending on, let's say, your operations, your wages. Can you afford to hire more? Should you be hiring now, or should you be spending more on advertising? Or should you be spending more on, let's say, field marketing? And I feel that this is a very common mistake that a lot of small businesses make, where they're not able to look at their finances and their accounts and to be able to tell, okay, how long would it take for us to grow from point A to point B, and are we ready to grow? So I still remember there was a conversation that I had with this gentleman, and it was a small business. The moment he mentioned, we were talking about finances and accounts and all that, and when he mentioned to me, he said, look, I have no idea what my accounts look like and what our business finances are. I have no idea how that works. And I honestly could not keep a straight face, because I know right off the bat that for any entrepreneur, if you do not know your finances, you're in trouble. That means you don't have any metrics to work with. It's very, very difficult for you to grow. Now, the next mistake I've seen in businesses, and small businesses in particular, is that when they do not have enough systems in place. I think it's okay, when you're smaller and you're sort of handling a few different job scopes or different functions within the business. But at one point, you will get overwhelmed. And that's when you actually need to have some systems and say basically who handles what. And it should be a bit more clear. Otherwise, again, it's, there's no system in place. It's very disorganized. It's just chaotic. And it's a mistake that you can actually just overcome if you just sit down and sort of plan your resources. Again, basically your finances, your ops, and so forth, and who does what. So I think that is something that small businesses sometimes need to be a bit aware of. Which brings me to number 8. Number 8 mistake that I see is when companies are not embracing technology enough. And when I talk about technology, look, there's so much technology out there that can help you lower your costs, that can help you stay organized, that can basically help you cut down on your inefficiencies and so forth. At Cover Buddies, we are a big fan of technology and trying to keep things organized. Stuff that we use, okay, just to share with you, we use CRMs, we use accounting softwares, we use basically marketing softwares, a ton of it, which basically, if we did not employ any of that, our costs would have gone up. So most of our business is actually conducted via Zoom. Gone are the days where we actually had to meet a person face to face and basically had that conversation. We still do, but it has cut down so much of our costs, and it has made us, we have become so much more efficient because of that. So what I'm trying to say is this: there's a lot of technology out there, It's all available. Small businesses, especially when we're trying to grow, we're trying to lower our costs and of course increase our profits and trying to be as efficient as possible because we're running such a lean team. It is really, really important to be open to new technology. So this is something that for me, I'm a geek, so I do spend a lot of time researching new technology that actually crops up to see how else we can make that customer experience a bit better, at the same time being very, very efficient about things. So technology is something that I don't think we should be afraid of, but it is something definitely you want to think of using, especially to improve your business and your customer experience. Moving on to number two. Right? The number two mistake is basically when you scale too quickly, where you suddenly overhire. So that is something that happens quite often, especially for newer companies where you fire pretty quickly until you find sometimes maybe the right person, or you find that there's a need for that function. And the number one mistake that most companies make, it is when they hire the wrong person. This is a big, big mistake. When you hire the wrong person, you thought it's the right person that can get the job done, and you realize nothing happens. It is just the wrong person. And it's a mistake on your end. It is not them. And sometimes it happens. For example, we try to look for marketing people and we realize that this person actually is good in B2C marketing, right? But we are a B2B company. And that's the time where, you have to have that talk with them and let them go quickly. I know it's brutal, but if it's the wrong person and sometimes they come in, they only want to do things that they want to do, not so much of what the company needs or what the business needs in terms of marketing, it's very, very difficult. So that to me is the number one reason. And it's the number one business mistake, actually. And you have to be extremely careful about that if it's the right person and if it's the right fit. And there you go, the top 10 mistakes that businesses make, and some of the mistakes that I've made, obviously. I hope that helps. I hope that brings value to you. If you have any questions, don't forget to visit our website at www.coverbuddies.com. That's www.coverbuddies.com. Drop us a line or use our live chat, and we'll try our best to be able to help you out.
If you enjoyed our show today, be sure to subscribe and follow us on social media, or sign up for our newsletter through our website at www.coverbuddies.com so you'll get all the good stuff sent directly to you.